In this video, we're going to look at an example of decision rules in action. Previously, we've defined politics as the process of making decisions in groups. However, there are some problems associated with that process. For example, who decides? Is there going to be one person that decides, or is it going to be a more diffuse process? How is that decision going to be made? What will the threshold be for the winning option? And of course, who determines the options? All of those considerations are important when discussing political processes. For example, let's say we've got a group of 7 individuals and they have a task with choosing a restaurant. Presumably, 7 people could produce 7 different sets of preferences, and so it might be challenging to come to an agreement on where to go, what type of restaurant to choose. How could we do it? Well, the group could decide that one person will make the decision. And from an analytical perspective, we would call that a dictatorship. When one person is choosing on behalf of the group, everybody else in the group is bound by that decision and they have to go along with it. So in this case, the one individual serves as the dictator. Now, the dictator in this group could be a person with lots of knowledge, or it could be somebody that's the oldest in the group. Maybe they're an elder, and everybody else in the group acknowledges that they have that power to decide. They are the decider. Everybody else in the group is okay with that. Call that legitimacy. They just accept that that person is the legitimate decider on behalf of that group. Now, it could also be possible that dictator might just be a person that's very persuasive. They are able to convince everyone else in the group to go along with them. Maybe they're a really good speaker. Maybe they've just got some kind of natural charisma that other people want to follow. Regardless, everybody in the group decides that they want to go along with that person's decision. They are able to persuade everyone successfully. Alternatively, the dictator could be a person that exercises some kind of power over the other individuals. Maybe it's financial, maybe it's just a matter of threatening violence, but we call that coercion. That person is able to coerce everyone else in the group to go along with their decision. So that is one model of decision making. One person could just make decisions on behalf of the entire group. An alternative would be to let everyone else have input. That would be sort of at the opposite end of the spectrum. If at one end of the decision-making spectrum there's a dictatorship where one person decides, there could also be a more diffuse process at the other end where we let everybody decide, and we call those processes democratic. Now, how would that work? How would we solicit and rank the preferences of the people in the group? And what would be the process for figuring out which option to choose? And what is the threshold for acceptance? Is it enough if 2 people in the group agree? Or do we need all 7 people in the group to agree? That can be challenging in democratic decision making. Let's look at an example. Let's say we take an inventory of preferences in the group and they coalesce around 3 different options. There's option A, Amazing Italian, which is a fancy, high-priced Italian restaurant. There's B, Basic Italian, which is a more casual, cheaper restaurant. And then Cheap Eats, which is fast food, very convenient. And if we break it down, we can see that there's a group of individuals that favor each one. And at first glance, we can do a quick canvass and find out that C would have the most votes. In that sense, 3 people out of the 7 want option C. They prefer fast food over the 2 different Italian options. So in this model, we would call C the plurality winner. Plurality winner has the most votes. It is not a majority. It is not more than 50% of the group. It is not unanimous. It is not the entire group, but it is the most. It is the option that gets the most votes. That is called the plurality winner. So according to this decision-making framework, the entire group would all be going out for fast food. But if the choice was just between Italian and fast food, Italian would be a majority winner. They would have 4 votes out of the 7. They would be a clearly preferred option for the entire group, compared to C being the plurality winner. Italian would be the majority if it was only those 2 options. So depending on how these choices are framed, you'll get very different results. What about other alternatives? Why is it just the 3? Why not 2 Why not another one? Well, we call that agenda setting. The agenda setting is determining the agenda, determining which options get considered, why we only have three, why we have three instead of two, and why there's no fourth. Let's say there was a fourth option. Option D, delicious sushi. Would that change the dynamics? Would we get a different result? And let's say we canvassed the group, and yes, we would. Sushi would overwhelmingly win, almost unanimous. So sushi would get 6 votes, fast food 1, and people's preferences for Italian would drop off. So in this case, agenda setting has proven decisive. The ability to exclude the sushi option steered people away from that. Now, also the decision to include the 2 Italian options also diluted those preferences and steered people towards fast food. So you could kind of see how somebody that wanted fast food could adjust the agenda accordingly if they had the power to do so. Agenda setting is a very important function, determining what the choices are and how those choices are considered. So just to recap, these are important considerations when analyzing democratic decision making. When you change the rules, you can change the outcome. And also, changing the number of choices or the types of choices can also be definitive. That can help influence the outcome as well. Really important is the agenda setting function. If you're the person that gets to control what is voted on, you can really influence the outcome.